Hi everyone. This audio is a very important message conveyed by dragons to us. It reveals an important part of dragons and humans' history, and a sad one too. Draconic magic are the words we are using in this channeling to talk about the knowledge and the infinite potentialities dragons possess. The reason this message is so important is because we humans have very strong and ambivalent feelings towards dragons. We can both love them and fear them. This could be explained by our Western culture and through religion that have made dragons evilish, but it's not the only reason. In other times, other places, here on Earth or other planets, humans and other kind of beings have experienced very dark times with dragons. Dragons have been betrayed, killed, tortured, and deceived. The reason this message is so important to us today is because these wounds are waking up. In my work, through 5 years of facilitating hypnosis sessions with dragons, I have come to understand that we still bear inside of us the memories, the wounds of what happened with dragons. Draconic magic is what has lost thousands and thousands of humans, dragons, and dragon riders through the entire universe. In this audio, I'm facilitating a channeling session in French with my channel colleague Lucina. I have translated this session in English for you because it is really important, and I'm sure this message will bring forth a lot of emotions and memories to some of you. So I'm going to read the translation of the channeling. Lucina and I wanted to ask dragons about this matter because we see a lot of people wondering, asking about draconic magic, and both of us often feel a bit weird about this topic, so we wanted to know what was underneath it. Here it goes. So, today, as you know, we had planned to talk about draconic magic, what we also call draconia. Yes, of course, we have to talk about it. Why do we have to talk about it? Dragon is speaking now. I will try to use words, explanations that you, humans, can understand, even if the sadness is always there. For each wound, we must dive to understand. And in the energies that have been present on Earth for some time, it is time to talk about certain things that are a shame, not only for us dragons, but for you humans. A shame, a wound. We are going through a transition. In fact, you can see that. You are in the eye of a cyclone, an energy cyclone. You see, for example, the earthquakes, which bring certain things to the surface. This is exactly what is happening on an energetic level. For many things, from the simple human wound to the draconic memory. If we all want to move forward to a point that is dear to all of us in evolution, you must talk about it, and I also invite my dragon brothers and sisters for whom the subject is sensitive to try to get in touch with their humans to talk about it and finally close these wounds, these pains that drain you. These are much darker energies that are no longer useful. Okay, you were talking about wounds that were coming up at the moment in relation to this draconic magic. What are the wounds? That's a very open question. It depends on each person. But I can say that generally, they are wounds of betrayal, loss of control, and destruction, and especially self-destruction, injustice, and this kind of veil that makes you need more to finally destroy everything you are and those you love. First of all, can you explain what draconic magic is? It's quite complex, but I'll try to explain. Basically, draconic magic was there to channel the energy of dragons, depending on the personality and the abilities of each dragon, to help humans in this case, but also other creatures. It was a bridge to transmit our energy to help accelerate certain things. Particles, what you call magic. It's used for portals, it's used for dimensional travels, it's used for essential acceleration for vibration. It was never meant to control. But as in any history of humanity or other planets, we are in a universe of polarity, and unfortunately, both are always possible. Right, and so as we are in a world of polarity here, if I understand correctly, this energy has been diverted, it seems. What happened that was so painful? Can you tell us? We are well aware that the Earth is a planet of duality, of experience, where the vibrational range is, how to say, very wide, down, up. But we think it would have such an impact on your whole species. Draconic magic has been given to some dragon riders as a key to knowledge. I know that in my experience, since I cannot speak for all dragons, I can only speak of what I have seen, what I have felt. Magic has been misused for nefarious purposes. What I mean by evil, even if nothing is evil, everything is a lesson, is that it has been used to destroy instead of create. Even if there is no harm in destroying, because in polarity you need both. You always need a balance. There is always a destruction and a creation. But in this case, the balance was broken. There was only destruction, which triggered pain, torture, which is also intimately linked to the great betrayal and the loss of the vibration of the planet Earth. This led to our downfall. For we were in a plan that was much less for us, that weakened us, and that drew us further into a downward spiral. So where does this magic come from? Who brought it to Earth for humans? Where does the essence of humanity come from? Where does the fact that you breathe come from? Your essence is what you call draconic magic. We have provided you with tools to try and share the universe, this vibration, this essence, with the humans that we feel are ready, but it is not. What is draconic magic? It is an essence of ourselves. I think you should rather ask yourself what experiences have been made and what beings have used this magic for their purposes. Okay, if I understand well, in fact, this magic, it is part of the dragons who communicated to the humans in an idea of evolution, and then there were deviations, right? Yes. Okay. Who are, then, these humans who have deviated this magic, this knowledge? There have been several species. The problem is that it's not one species in particular, but species that have had the idea to do this or that, but it's not one species in particular. For example, Lucina saw one of her elves' lives that came from Vega, what you call the constellation of Lyra. There was actually a very powerful interdimensional portal that gives access to the multiverse. And the essence of the Dragon Riders comes from that planet and carries those vibrations, even though they were everywhere in the universe. The Dragon Riders are guardians of this magic, what you call magic. These beings have seen that the dragon do not need a ship to teleport from one portal to another, to travel through time and space. They also saw that dragons are often guardians of these portals, even though their essence allows them not to use them. It's just to guard these portals, to make sure that the energy is balanced. In her story, in the story of Lucina, at one point, a being who was a dragon rider asked her dragon to teach the dragon vibration, to try to connect with him even more. So there was actually a guy who who was a dragon rider, and he asked his own dragon to teach him the vibration of dragons, the magic of dragons. It was a noble idea, basically. But even though the bond was there, a bond of love, unbreakable, his dragon, being so connected to this person, to this being, agreed to transmit a link that made him vulnerable. Even more so, explaining how to connect to certain vibrations in order to be able to control certain things, notably time, space, and what you call the weather, the wind, the rain. It costs me a lot to talk about it, but it has to be done. Thanks for your efforts, and thanks for doing this. This vibration allows you to become a superior being if you know how to handle it well. And it is in agreement with the dragon because it is in exchange, it is a link, it is like a couple. And when it is done, in gentleness and in love, the elevation is magnificent. This being we are talking about was never satisfied. He began to see that with this energy he could teleport anywhere, without any vessel, without asking anything from anyone, which is dangerous, since this link is an exchange, but it is above all to learn. The being learned how to use it for his own magic. We dragons are guides, we are teachers, but we are not here to give you what we are, because it is not possible, it is just not possible, compatible. We are here to teach. That was the purpose, to give you a part of ourselves so that you can find your own magic, your vibration that make you rise, so much the vibrations of your bodies, of your cells, to activate the lights that are inside you. There is always a way forward, always. This being has always wanted more, again and again. Unfortunately, he got stuck in this cruelty. He started to torture his dragoness. Because unfortunately, this is an information I'm giving you today, and I hope you won't use it again. But pain is a powerful channel. And so is fear. And even though we are only love, when we come down into an incarnation with a dragon rider, we get a little bit on their level, on their vibration, and we feel certain things that we don't have in other spheres. It is a terrible vulnerability and an example of our self-sacrifice to life. This being tortured this dragoness more and more, and began to feel a kind of addiction to this energy, to this power that she gave off. It completely distorted the bond that he had with her, and it became domination. The more he dominated his dragon, the more powerful she felt, and when he didn't realize that was the magic was already hijacked and already in much lower vibration than this poor dragoness, who was vibrating very high before this. Once he stopped hurting her energetically, that's when he started experimenting with physical torture. Of course, it didn't work like it used to. And the dragoness died of grief. She had left eggs to other dragon's riders, including Lucina and her brother. The movement started to build up like a wave, and on this planet, the dragon riders began to misuse their dragons, breaking the bonds and the promise they had made to the dragon energy, to protect in love for the light. It created a kind of civil war. There were clans, those who were for protection and those who were for torture and slavery. The dragon riders who got in the way began to be driven out, and the royal family banished those who did not want to follow what they called dragon control, since from their point of view, it was the only way to evolve. Were these beings human? They are what you call elves, but we call them ancient human beings. They are like the trunk of your family tree. Okay, yet we often have an idea of elves as beings that are respectful of life, of all consciousness, but those you speak of have hijacked and done harm. All planets have experienced this. It is simplistic to say that this or that species is like this or like that. There has always been light and shade in all species. It is a minority that has put this culture to fire and blood. We must know that. Most of these beings were passionate, loving people and still are. It was this particular being that brought a certain energy into their sphere. So what happened when once they were several to join this first being? You should also know that a race of reptilians that you call the Dracos, the Great Ones, have always been a warlike race, turned towards war, debasement and crushing. It's their culture. They were already a threat at that time. Alright. The defenses, everything was good. And I also feel that, coming from the same energy, fear started to settle in the hearts. But when they started to catch the dragons, a little bit of what happened on Earth and on other planets, as it is now. If I take human time, you could say it was a very long time ago, but it's not as simple as that. Everything happened in a kind of a spiral that crossed the timeline. Do you understand? Yes, I try to understand, but for us, time is a difficult concept to see otherwise than we perceive it as human. But I see what you mean. Everything is at the same time here and there, and at the same time elsewhere, right? Yes. The energy of betrayal has crossed time and space on several planets for you, in different planes. But in fact, is the same energy. It is the same energy. The same clash, the same shadow spark that has spread through the universe at one time. This person was from a royal lineage. It was a very dark time. There was a lot of control. You could declare certain things, give orders to others, illegal orders, put to death. What happened next? I'll take the example of Lucina's life. She was a dragon rider in a female body. And in this culture, dragon riders are born with their dragons. That is to say, every time a dragon rider is born, the parents know it. And they also know which dragon will be assigned to the rider. The children, when they are born, are assigned to a small egg which will hatch at the same time as the birth of the child. It is a very, very strong link, almost twin. At the end, the evolution of matter is the same for both beings. Even if the dragon knows it, one consciously chooses to reintegrate into a body for which will evolve at the same time as its dragon rider. Again, this is to show you the self-sacrifice and love that is shown to all creature in the universe, and that is why this is such a sensitive subject. When Lucina was born, her dragons were already assigned to her. I was not yet her dragon. I was a guide. I was not yet on planets. I was in what you call the cosmic planes, cosmic spheres. I was assigned to balance the primary forces, do you understand? It was only much later that I decided to associate myself with a person, thus borrowing a body, a vibration capable of being seen. But I wasn't like that at that time. I saw everything, I felt everything, but I was not. Her dragons were born in troubled times, and she loved them so much that she decided to keep them with her, even though there were already laws coming out saying that you had to name your dragon, say it, present it officially for everyone to enjoy. And those who didn't name their dragon or hid them were punished by death. That's how it started. This person who was on the throne didn't talk about what he was doing to the dragons. He kept to himself this image of magic to control everyone else. He just said, to get people to follow him, that if you ever got in your hands a dragon and became his master, the dragon rider would feel a power and become immortal. Of course, they followed. I'm not sure how long it lasted, but not very long since we're talking about one dynasty. Even though these creatures lived much longer than you humans do now, which is not difficult since you've been programmed to die in the blink of an eye, and I don't want to make fun of it, but for us it's ridiculous to have such a short life, which makes the mission even more difficult. And to get back to those creatures, they started to bring the wound of draconic magic into the universe. They sent out militias to go after the dragons and dragon riders by force. And the dragons and the dragon riders who had gone over to the wrong side would denounce their colleagues, their brothers, their sisters. The dragons were enslaved. They were put on their heads helmets and chains of a metal that prevents vibration and prevents telepathy. The dragons were thus isolated and could no longer call each other. There were public execution, and unfortunately the more a dragon suffered, the stronger people felt. I don't want to judge, as I say. It's part of the duality and the experience, but the suffering has gone long enough on this universe. It's time now for us to get out of this by reviving the memory, by healing the memory. Precisely in relation to that, a lot of people right now are remembering lives where they were magician linked to the dragons, practicing draconic magic. Would you have a message for those people who feel linked to this draconic magic today? Yes, it's not my habit to say what to do or to make judgments about anything, but if there is one thing that I can... Sorry. And at that moment the dragon is crying. If there is one thing that can destroy all the efforts you humans have been making for centuries to recover from certain vibration, it is draconic magic. The magic that is made for you humans is the telluric magic, the sexual magic. It is not draconic magic. You cannot access our magic without destroying yourselves. It is a magic that destroys bones, skins, souls. You are not yet aligned enough with this dimension to practice it. It will be there one day when you will have finally understood and integrated your shadows to finally reach a balance. We are here. We are waiting for you. We are going to show you all of this, but it is not the moment. Draconic magic in 3D is dangerous for you. You are children learning to walk, and you already want to run through a bramble field. You are naked. You don't even know where you are going. It's not in my nature to talk about these things so emotionally, but I tell you, beware. You are on a planet of polarity, of duality. You can quickly fall back. You feel this inner struggle at the moment. You speak of the light, of the shadow. You say that one or the other is winning, but you are not aware that it is you. It is the inner struggle. Each one of you is in the process of finding your balance. Do not miss the steps. For although you are creatures of love, we have been so pained that we have lost our energy in giving it to you. We are coming back to you little by little, and our hearts are big, and we welcome you as you are now, so listen to us. Stop thinking that you are better than others. I beg you, look at the balance you have within your life, within yourself. You have to look at where you are, where you were before. Your former lives, your former incarnations here or on other planets. It is important to understand, but remember, you are human. Draconic magic is dangerous. Some of you can grasp this energy with a sincere love and balance, but as long as in the collective there is still this fight against the shadow, which does not have to be a fight because it is part of you, you risk falling back into your old ways because these wounds are there. And if I speak of this today in such a clear-cut manner, and I'm never clear-cut, it is because I hear the call of humans to want to improve themselves. I hear the call of those humans who are going to reconnect to their dragons, and those humans who are still afraid of us, who are afraid of the shadow, or who think they are absorbed by the shadow, by the light. This is not really how you are going to find balance. The planet is rising in vibration, and you know what is causing all your worries at the moment? Your resistance. You are holding on what you believe to be true or not. Everything is true. Nothing is true. Try to find a much wider balance. Try to learn or unlearn. I don't even know if that is a word. If draconic magic is coming up at the moment, it's also because it's linked to sexual magic, and also because it's linked to what you call the witch wound. Everything is linked, but also this guilt, which leads to a kind of letting go of your emotions. You have peaks of guilt, and then you pretend nothing happened, and you bury this wound even further, which is just waiting to be healed. At the moment, a lot of people are remembering this kind of wound in other lives where they were abused or they have abused of their power. It's coming up a lot at the moment. Time is in balance. The balance is to reintegrate every particle of who you are, the darker and the brighter. There is nothing wrong with that. That is what I'm trying to teach you today when I look at timelines. All I see is love. But those who want to get close to us through draconic magic, it's not necessarily the right way. Not now. It will be. And I have faith in humanity. One day we will be able to give you direct energy without any problems, but you must accept that your imperfections are your strength. That no one is better than other. That you are all well connected, even if you don't want to be. A person who's horrible to you in the morning or evening is as connected to you as the person who makes you feel good. You are all connected to each other. If you could open your eyes and see yourselves as we see you right now with passion, you will not see separation. You would see what magical beings you are. You put up barriers to yourselves when you are all one big family, a link woven between the ages and the dimension of the earth. Humans, you realize how much you have survived, and here you are. You are magnificent. Thank you. Could you clarify one point to make sure that those who hear this message understand it well? When you say that draconic magic for humans at the moment is dangerous, let them understand that this does not mean that dragons are dangerous. Can you please clarify this? Yes, it is true that you humans always want to know everything, to understand everything, and you are extremely sensitive. your ego is quite developed in fear, therefore manifests itself. The problem is not the dragons or the human. I will try to find an image. I have to find an image that humans understand. Well, it's very simple. For example, when you take two negative magnets, no matter how hard you try to force them, they won't touch. It will even damage them. But individually, everything is fine. It's not the magnet that is the problem. It's the energy. It's the exchange between the two. It's like trying to get a star into a heart. It can't fit. Or, if you try to make it fit, you'd have to be destroying the heart. So, it's not compatible. Not at the moment. It may have been, and then I feel that some humans have the capacity to receive it, but it's true. But you're missing the point, and it hurts both, especially the human who becomes a slave to this energy that be consumes a bit like a drug. It's like a power, it's like control. They get addicted to it. After all, who doesn't want to see further? To step outside the timelines, to travel in time and space, to control the climate, to control men and women, to have the sexual favors of this or that person, to influence the conception of a child, to influence the growth of a plant, to create tsunamis. Yes, so you're saying that it's total power for us human, almost. It's not total power. It's how do you say? A higher stage of energy control. And you will get there. But one day, not today. But for that, it's a process that takes place. I think you will have people who will receive this information as an attack. It is not. But they have the right to feel this kind of thing. But I want to talk to you, to these humans being who are listening and who feel attacked. You know why you are hurting. You know that you may have misused it at some point, but it's not serious. Let yourself be carried by the flow of love and that they have been giving you for a long time. Let yourself be bathed by this Christed light that is invading your planet, and do not look to the right and to the left. Love yourself and without trying to force it. I invite you to understand it without trying to force it. I invite you to try to contact your dragons, to understand with them without trying to force it. You cannot pretend it does not exist. You cannot pretend it didn't exist. As if the betrayal, the tortures didn't happen. It is there. And in some people, this magic, which acts a bit like an energetic tracer, it is kept in the DNA. From incarnation to incarnation, it is also a problem. That's why it reactivates and remains as a trace. But like everything and every energy, it can be transmuted. That is why I say be careful, it's dangerous. But love transmutes absolutely everything. If you feel that draconic magic is a link that it calls you from one side or another, understand that you will have to settle down, understand in love and transmute. Perhaps it is precisely the moment to transmute the wounds of draconic magic, as dangerous as it may be for us and for humans. Perhaps it's now time to use the light to finally close these scars, to start again on the right foot, and perhaps to begin the evolution towards the energies that can finally open the doors of this magic between us. This could allow yourself healing. Life in other dimensions, in time and space, to put you on one side of a galaxy or the other, to be able to communicate with your galactic brothers, with other dragons, with senses with other creatures such as the unicorns, who have also suffered a lot from draconic magic, as it is linked to their essence as well. You can communicate with angels, what you call angels, and archangels with your own energies that are in other dimensions here now. Imagine the possibility that this represents, but above all, you must find your balance, otherwise you will go back to these ways. And you will go back to the ways that have hurt you, us, and the creatures that were linked to this energy. Do you understand? Yes, absolutely. You have to do everything with your heart. Is that what you're saying? You have to do it with the heart because Atlantis went back into those energies and you saw what happened, right? The same for Egypt. And you are still in an energy of self-cultivation, of separation, even if it is moving, but only you can know how to transmute, how to love. Start by loving yourselves. If you only knew the number of dragons that have heavy heart to see their dragon riders or their protégés hating themselves, or pretend for the sake of the culture, for the sake of the family, that everything is fine. And it's that kind of soul that is actually a soul deeply rooted in love, that has turned to draconic magic in order to feel some kind of love, but there it is, the love. That's what we're trying to explain to you. You have everything within you, but have the patience of evolution. Have the patience of evolution. You have too much of a tendency to want everything right away, like Lucina, who wants everything right away without understanding. She's just beginning to let go. But it is a very human thing. I want to know my past lives. I want to know the name of my dragons. I want this. I want that. I want to go fast. Already because you are going to live like 19 years on an average in this incarnation, and you made the choice to incarnate in a matrix which is very complicated, precisely to know this reincarnation, this link, this heaviness of feeling. You must go beyond all that. You must find the essence of who you are and the balance in this body. And draconic magic is not the best way now. There you go. Yes, so I have the feeling that even before wanting to know the draconic magic, already know the magic of the human here, today, in our society. Live as well as possible, as you said, in our hearts, learn to love us, and then it will be another step to draconic magic, right? Exactly. The exchange of vibrations can be done with dragons, with unicorns, with phoenixes, with angels, but everything has a meaning in evolution. We are in the process of evolving. We are in the process of learning. The ascended masters who come to see you in what you call channelings are also beings who are evolving step by step at another angle, but it is still a constant of evolution, a constant evolution of everything. Humans always want to rush through the stages, which leads to wars, to ego, to misunderstanding. I'll tell you, if you start to sincerely develop your self-love, your love for yourself, you will inevitably love the people around you much more. And human magic is sexual magic. And what we call nature magic, but you call it telluric magic, and again, it is rather an agreement between Gaia and a human energy. But the magic of the human being is sex. And the problem is in your society, is that it is a taboo, whereas you have the capacity to enter into dimension, to manifest, and to put yourself in much denser or much brighter energies with sex. It is very sad that you do not see what is in front of you. You are making your children in your own body, not outside. You are in a dense, physical and energetic exchange, and you create a line, and you are looking elsewhere for your power. That is your power. That's why sexual priestess were important until they were hijacked, like sex priests. They were people who learned that, couples in ancient times, and it got hijacked. That I think we can talk about next time because I feel it's a very vast subject too. Yes, that's another subject, yes. I have another question about draconic magic, which is more down to earth. You know, we had already planned to do this session more than a week ago, and then we were prevented. And then, as far as I'm concerned, I felt that someone had also come to parasite me very strongly for several days. Could you explain to me why we were prevented from doing this session? Some ancestral memories are so embedded in human DNA that talking about them attracts certain things, but talking about them also unlocks certain things. Some entities, egregores, or even beings of the universe indulge in a somewhat dense energy. And I smile because it reminds me a bit of children who steal chocolates behind their mother's back, in fear, and when you see them with marks around their mouth, it's terrible. These people are the same. We are not going to take away their little marmalade. It's been there for centuries, so no one's going to take that away from them. But these beings will also evolve. They don't have to be afraid either. But for you, it is still different. For you, it is still different because for both of you, you have been victims of draconic magic, of betrayal. So it has brought out your personal wounds. You were also victims of the echo of your personal wounds, which therefore attracted to you spirits, if we can say that, linked to these wounds who are less in the light than you could be now. As a result, this causes resistance, barriers, but you see that everything is done anyway. Sometimes we are obliged to leave you in the dark a little so that you can understand. Even if it breaks our heart to see you panic, to see you suffer, but that is part of your choice of incarnation. Humans sometimes need to understand suffering. This is not how dragons deal with their own emotions or energies, but you have made the choice to be incarnated here and now, and this is part of who you're sorry, I'm wrong. Getting tired of reading. This is not how dragons deal with their own emotion or energies, but you have made the choice to be incarnated here and now, and this is part of your soul mission of learning, but it's not bad. Nothing is bad. I hope this message will help better understand your own history and answer some questions you might have had or didn't even know you had. I hope my reading was okay, as was the translation. Please share this audio and subscribe to my channel. If you want to experience your own hypnosis session, you'll find all the info below the video. Also, if you want to join the Facebook group Contact with Dragons to share your experience, to talk about other people that are connected to dragons, please join us on the Facebook group Contact with Dragons. Thank you for your time and thank you for your support.